Oh, that's James. Yeah.
All right. Welcome, everybody. Thanks for attending tonight. We're just letting everybody in right now, but we do have all of the candidates in place. And my name's Natalie Bowers, and I'm going to be one of your co-hosts tonight. I'm a Wenham resident for 4 years now. We moved from Chicago, and I grew up in New Jersey. I run my own little marketing communications consultancy. I'm a mother of boy and girl twins, age 9, who attend Bucher Elementary, and I'm also the admin of the Wonderful World of Wenham group. And that's been a great way for me to actually get to meet other neighbors and residents. And so first, thank you and a heartfelt welcome to all of our candidates who are committing their time with us tonight, so that we might get to know them a little bit better. And no matter what happens in this election, thank you to all of the candidates for stepping up and being willing to serve our community with their time. It's people like you who make this a truly wonderful place to live, work, and play. And it makes me really proud to be a resident. So thank you for that. Second, thanks to all of you for tuning in tonight. Joan De George, who's on the call, and you'll hear from her in a bit, and I started the Wonderful World of Wenham Facebook group so that our town had an online platform that focuses on the things happening within our community. The mission of the group is to foster a sense of community within Wenham and to have meaningful conversations about Wenham-centric topics, provide a place where we might offer accurate answers to questions from residents, and help important matters reach our community more deeply. In this light, it made sense for us to step in and host this fun event tonight for all of you. Now, for most of our town elections, the League of Women Voters in Hamilton Wenham have done a superb job over the years hosting candidate forums. And they also are going to do a forum for the May election. And they plan to publish information on the candidates for the special election. So I am going to post the link to their Facebook page in the chat so you can like them and receive that information. In addition, we know that the Hamilton Wenham Human Rights Coalition has invited the candidates to answer a set of questions that they will also be publishing. And I'm going to put their link to their Facebook group in the chat as well. So all in all, I think the community, despite the pandemic and its limitations, has some good access to information that will help us make informed decisions in the upcoming election. Speaking of the upcoming election, the voting information, the actual voting takes place on Thursday, April 8th from 7 a.m. until 8 p.m. in person at Town Hall. Information on the absentee voting process can be found in detail on the town's website, and I'll go ahead and post that in the chat for you. And now I'd like to introduce you to the Wonderful World of Wenham co-admin, Joan De George.
Thanks, Natalie. It's wonderful to see all of you. As Natalie just said, my name is Joan De George. I've been a Wenham resident for 6 years now. I'm a psychologist and an adjunct professor at a couple universities. I'm the mother of 2 boys, one of whom is a kindergartner at Bucher this year. It was very exciting. I grew up outside of Philadelphia, but I discovered Wenham on a very fateful fall apple picking trip when my oldest was an infant. And as Natalie said, I co-admin this group with her. So let's just cover a little bit about the races that are going to be in this special election coming up. So we have 2 positions, town clerk and selectman. So the town clerk is, there's 1 position available for 2 years. The office of town clerk serves as the central information point for residents and visitors. So the town clerk is a reliable provider of information and quality services to the community and its residents, and they will work cooperatively and in concert with all departments, boards, and committees while complying with the state and local statutes. The town clerk is a full-time position in Wenham that requires organization, people skills, and the ability to multitask. There's 1 selectman position available in this election as well for a 1-year term. And the Board of Selectmen serves as the chief executive body of the town. The board's duties include appointing the town administrator and other board and committee members, developing goals and policies, preparing the town report, the annual budget, and presenting the warrant for town meeting. So Wenham currently holds a 3-person select board, and as we know, there is another selectman seat open in the May election. So in case you needed any background on who we're talking to today for what positions. So a little bit of ground rules for our Zoom chat tonight. I'm sure all of us are well versed in Zoom now. We ask all of the residents of Wenham tuning in to keep themselves on mute, just because we know with little ones and dogs and phone calls, background noise, that can get distracting. So thank you for checking in with that. We'll have 6 rounds of questions plus a sweep round for final comments, with each of our candidates being given 2 minutes for each response. We are going to ask the candidates to keep their own time, to just be aware that you're hitting that 2-minute mark. Natalie and I will give a 10-second warning if we're getting close to the end of those 2 minutes, so please do honor that. Unfortunately, we do not have time to open questions to everyone here. We were able to collect questions from comments on our Facebook group. We were able to generate some questions from similar forums, looking at similar forums that had done this, and editing for time. We have generated a list of queries that we hope will cover everything that you're curious about. However, we do ask you to post comments and further questions in the chat, because after the event, we will be able to share a copy of that chat with the candidates. Hamilton Wenham CAM is also covering the event and will be available for viewing after our meeting tonight. And as always, you can reach out to the candidates if you have more questions that we weren't able to cover this evening. One other thing to let you know about: one candidate for the special election, Mark Liphart, is unable to be here in person tonight. Therefore, we do have a pre-recorded conversation with him that we will be able to play for you toward the end of the event. So just as a reminder, we are going to keep all responses to a 2-minute time frame, and we will try to be pretty strict with that, because we know how long these Zoom meetings can go on if we're not keeping an eye on our time. So Natalie, I will let you get it started with our opening questions.
Thanks so much, Joan. Like I said, thanks for being here tonight. And we're going to open up with a very basic introductory question. It's about you. Where do you live? How long have you been in Wenham? What are your skills and capabilities that will best serve the role you're running for? Also, feel free to include something personal about yourself. Do you have a family here? Any animals, hobbies, or interests? What is something about you that is unique? And what do you hope to accomplish in the role you are running for? We'll start with the 2 candidates that are running for town clerk, and I'll call on Lisa Craig, please.
Lisa, you're on mute.
I was, thank you. So I started with good evening, Natalie, Joan, thank you for hosting. Good evening, residents. So starting with about me, have lived in 24 Arbor Street for the past 10 years. Raised in Beverly. My husband Randy was raised in Hamilton. So we decided to split the difference and picked Wenham to call home for the 15 plus years and counting. Moving into the skills area, many years I've been in the town government as assessor, 13 to be exact. So in that, I've got the knowledge, the inside knowledge, which is really important, necessary on how the town works, which is the absolute foundation needed to be a versatile town clerk. Moving into capabilities. So, you know, this is something that I feel very strongly about. Excellent customer service, utmost importance. We're working for these residents. We're working for the town. I have these skills, and they have been required to be, they are required to be the town clerk. Excuse me, let me rephrase. Excellent customer service skills. as required to be the town clerk and central information point for the residents and visitors, as Joan has already mentioned. This has been shown over the years, or by myself, meeting with the residents both in their homes and at the Board of Assessor meetings, listening, resolving their questions and their concerns over and over for 13 years. Having the knowledge to apply state and local statutes, following the Attorney General open meeting law, State Ethics Commission for Conflict of Interest, and so on. These are all important factors of being an assessor and being a town clerk. Something personal. So I've been married for 34 years to a same great guy named Randy. He's a great guy. We have 2 kids. We have 2 children. We have a daughter, Jessie, and I have a son, James. And yes, we do have a Jesse James gang. We have an adorable cockapoo named Seeger, after Bob Seeger, if anyone knows any 70s, 80s rock and roll, our favorite guy.
Okay.
So some of the things that I like to do, boating. We've been boating for 30 plus years. We've been, yep. Do you need me to pause?
Five more seconds, Lisa.
Okay. Been boating, love it. We know backside of Plum Creams, it's always the best in the summer. It's like the Caribbean. I love skiing. New exciting hobby, ice fishing. Should I go on about the unique?
I think we're past our time, but thank you very much. And let's move over to Trudy. Trudy, do you need me to repeat the question?
I'm sorry. Your instructions originally said 3 minutes for the opening. Are we still at 3 minutes or just 2 minutes on this one?
Oh, you're right. I made a huge mistake. I'm so sorry. I cut Lisa off. She has 30 more seconds. Lisa, did you want to continue? My apologies. You're right.
She's muted again.
Is that muting, unmuting something that you're doing, Natalie?
No, you're good. I interrupted you and I'm sorry. I forgot it was 3 minutes, not 2. So carry on,
Okay.
please.
No
Thanks, Trudy.
problem. So I think part of what you're asking is unique. So I thought about this for quite some time, and it's hard to think about yourself in unique. But one thing that did happen in our family is that we did have 5 generations alive for 5 years. I found that to be really super. We were blessed and had many wonderful experiences with 5 generations. We're going into accomplish. Are we moving along still?
Yes.
Okay. I'd like to continue to make the office of the pleasant and informative experience the residents have come to be accustomed to during Diane's time as town clerk.
Great. Thank you so much. Trudy, do you need me to repeat the question?
No, I'm all set. Thank you.
Great.
Should I go ahead and start?
Please.
Good evening. I'm Trudy Reed, and thank you all for being here tonight. I have been a Wenham resident for 28 years, married to my husband David for 30 years, and we have 2 adult children, Sean and Allie. And a shout out to my daughter Allie from Pittsburgh tonight. Thank you. I grew up in a small town in West Virginia. I have a twin sister, and I am the youngest of 9 kids. I think my twin sister is watching from West Virginia tonight. My first exposure to civic involvement was when my dad served on the local city council and one of my brothers was a deputy sheriff. My husband Dave also experienced similar community service values. After moving to Wenham almost 60 years ago, his dad joined the Wenham Police Department as a reserve officer and served the community for over 20 plus years. My husband and I had the opportunity to move back to Wenham and to start our family. And we bought his family home, and at one point we had 4 generations under one roof. After the kids got a little older, I decided to step into community service, and I began with the First Church in Wenham, where I served on different boards throughout many years. I also became active in the Friends of Buger, Cub Scouts, Girl Scouts, and in the Hamilton Wenham cheerleading youth squads. And since my husband grew up in boating, I decided to give it a try. So like Lisa, we've done 25 years where we've actively engaged and we are on the water whenever possible. 25 years ago, I began my civil service career when I first worked in Wenham's town election and continued to work the Wenham elections for the next 18 years. I also became the director of the Wenham Council on Aging in 2004. I was then elected as the Wenham Town Clerk in 2010, and I have been a town clerk for the last 11 years, continuing to expand my knowledge on the position. In 2014, after attending many town clerk conferences for education and sitting for an extensive exam, I received my certified Mass Municipal Clerk accreditation, and I also enjoy being a mentor in the Mass Town Clerks Association. I have found that I love being a town clerk, but I also have realized that I miss the smaller community and a more direct interactions that occur in my hometown of Wenham. This opportunity to come back home again is very exciting to me. And I believe that my experience will provide Wenham with a high level of service, and I can hit the ground running, making this a positive situation for all. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so just to be clear on the timing, the 3 minutes was for the introductory. The rest will be 2 minutes, correct? That's everyone's understanding, right? Okay,
Yes.
great. Okay, let's move the same question over to the Board of Selectmen candidates. Catherine, would you like to answer that, please?
Sure, thank you. Thank you for hosting this, and thanks to everyone for attending. And thanks for giving us the questions in advance, not for any reason other than it's going to make it much easier to stay in that 2-minute time frame. My name is Catherine Harrison. I live on Pleasant Street with my husband of 43 years and my 2 Morkie poos. They're black and white, and they're called Calvin and Hobbes. I have 2 children, grown. And I have to say that working, raising the kids, and actively serving on boards and committees didn't really leave me a lot of time for hobbies, at least until my kids got older. But I try to keep up a few of the activities, and my favorites are spending time with my family, including now my 2 grandchildren, when I can see them again very soon. Reading. Something people may not know about me is that I'm a singer. I sing with several choruses, Chorus on the Shore, and my church choir. At least I sang pre-pandemically when we were allowed to sing. Hope to get back to that again. And my happy place is near the ocean. I don't love boating, although my husband does, but I just love sitting and watching the ocean. I think it's very tranquil and happy. So a little bit about me, been around for a while. Many of my skills and capabilities are really a product of the years of experience on elected boards and appointed boards. I'll talk a little bit more later, but school committee, finance committee, and most recently, people may realize that I just spent some time on the Wenham Select Board. And the insights I've gained, I think, will allow me in this particular election at this particular time, have a much needed ability to hit the ground running. Sorry for the cliche. I will be immediately ready to participate in the things that are going to need to be done immediately. Choosing a new town administrator, understanding, making recommendations for the May town meeting, onboarding new select board members and committee members. I'm well versed after these experiences and some mistakes along the way in the best practices of municipal governance, employee relations, and transparency. And I would use these skills to improve the efficiency of the select board meetings and help restore the positive culture that the town, its staff, and everyone who deals with the town deserves, as well as enable our citizens, this was really important to me, to authentically engage with our leaders, with everyone in town hall. By nature, I'm a communicator. At least that's what people tell me. Maybe it's a talker, I'm not sure. Collaborator and a stabilizer. Wenham needs to have confidence restored in its leadership in order to confidently move forward. I have a deep commitment to community input, and in all my time past and going forward, I would strongly encourage community input. I think I also have the vision and the desire to move Wenham forward in concert with the community. Time.
Perfect. Just under time. Thank you so much. And
thank you.
Good job. And James, do you need me to repeat the question?
Oh no, I should be all set, but thank you. Good evening, everyone. Thank you all for coming. My name is James Gowdy. I've lived at 28 William Fairfield Drive my entire life, all 21 years. I know that isn't too many. Many of you may know me from my time serving as the Assistant Director of the WVAS Park Program. Serving my community and working to communicate with people has been a passion all of my life. I love working with people. I've worked a number of jobs that have prepared me to communicate effectively with a wide variety of individuals, most notably that of assistant director, but even small jobs such as just like a cashier and learning how to best communicate with people pleasantly and efficiently. I hope to bring a unique perspective to the budget negotiation between the Board of Selectmen as well as the school committee in really finding a way to draft a budget that alleviates the stress on our property owners. Finally, a little bit more about myself. I am very committed to community engagement. I've run a very technological focused campaign, and my big passion is getting youth voices back into politics or into politics more. I hope to encourage more young people to vote, as well as provide them with more opportunities to get involved. Something fun about myself. I have a twin sister. I doubt she's watching, but maybe next time she will. I don't know. Thank you all for coming. I yield the rest of my time.
Thank you, James.
Thanks. Thank you so much. We're going to switch into sort of sets of questions now, and we'll sort of cover one question for each position. So we're going to start with a town clerk question, question A, and Natalie and I will alternate with who we start with. So I think we'll start with Trudy on this question, just to alternate. So the first question is related to quality. You're clearly attempting to fill some pretty large shoes, though Diane Bucco herself might have actually small feet, but she was loved by most everyone. She helped to create a warm and welcome environment with supreme customer service and professionalism in town hall. She never judged me when I was late every year for my dog license. How will you honor this valued legacy and help to honor the client-facing values that she helped to maintain in this position?
Thank you. I believe that my focus on customer service has allowed me to succeed in all my municipal roles over the years, here in Wenham, as well as Linfield and North Andover. When a resident comes into the town clerk's office for assistance, the clerk is there to find the best way to address that issue or concern, as the resident is essential, the customer. Also, I make sure that my staff understands the same basic principles, as I believe it is the foundation of public service. Even for elections, customer service is critical, as the clerk and the election staff are responsible to ensure that everyone that is eligible to vote has the opportunity to vote. I work to make that happen in a friendly and efficient fashion, where I have focused on making it easier for the voters as well as the election workers themselves to create a positive experience. There are laws and regulations that are required to be followed. So it can sometimes be confusing or frustrating if there is an issue with voter registration or an ID issue, but the clerk's role is to handle these issues for the voters. Last year during the pandemic, we were faced with situations that nobody could have imagined. I worked to enable vote by mail and in-person voting and regular voting with drop boxes and polling locations that employed COVID safety protocols to address voters and workers' concerns. And I successfully directed 4 elections, serving almost 19,000 voters for the presidential election. My happiest moments come when voters contact me to thank me for the way the elections were managed, the customer service that I provided, and allowed them to vote with ease and confidence in their personal health safety in a crazy year where so much was unknown. I would continue this focus on customer service as the Wenham Town Clerk. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Lisa, same question. Do you like me to repeat it, or are you good? Make sure you unmute yourself, Lisa.
No, thank you. So interesting that you mentioned about the shoes and Diane's shoes, clown shoes, small shoes, and all I could picture in my head was when we were kids and we took the baby shoes and we bronzed them. Just as a remembrance. So maybe Diane will offer up some of her shoes and we can make a little bronze statue and put it on the counter as a remembrance of her exceptional job that she's done. So I have that same passion about the residents and the wonderful world of Wenham, working towards that same wonderful World of Wenham atmosphere. I will always offer the pleasant experience for all who enter the town hall and guide them to find the location they be looking for, and most certainly any answers they may have. In adding to that, one of the things I understand is there is this idea that I wouldn't possibly be ready to take on this role. And I would say there is always a learning curve. Nobody can possibly walk into an office that they hadn't been in 6 years or however long and know where everything is, including the telephone system. So I would know learning everything I could possibly learn in order to make the office as streamlined and as efficient as it always has been. And that's it.
All right, thank you, Lisa. Okay, we're going to move on to the question A block for the selectmen related to prior service. And we'll start with James in this case. What other volunteer or paid positions do you have or have you held within the community at large? And how did this work help you shape our town?
So I am very fortunate to have had the opportunity to serve, as the student representative to the school committee during my senior year at our local high school. I will be honest and say that I do lack a lot of experience that many of my opponents have serving full-time in government. But as my mother always says, no one is born knowing everything, and a little hard work and determination always goes a long way. I do have plenty of experience running online campaigns. Not only this, but my time serving in high school, I helped facilitate the Cure CMT for Jake campaign, which helped raise $5,000 for the charity over in Ipswich. I would love to bring my experience into passion to better facilitate voter engagement for the town of Wenham, as well as to learn more about governance at the municipal level. Thank you.
Thank you, James. Catherine, same question. Do you need me to repeat it, or you good?
No, I think I'm good on this one. Thank you. So I guess I have been involved, and I think I'll be boring if I tried to list them all. So I just got a couple. I've been involved in a lot of boards and committees in town for a pretty long time. It's something I find very rewarding and pretty much fun, really. And this part wasn't fun. I'll share a little known fact. I actually went into labor with my, I think, second child while I was helping at a Friends of the Wenham Library book sale. So that was pretty memorable. The Friends of the Wenham Library was great. Since my children are 6 years apart in age, I served on the Friends of Cutler for 10 years. So that was sort of like a second home for a long time. I was on the WVIS, Wenham Village Improvement Society, for a number of years rather, in the old days, where the new person actually made the egg salad to take to the town meeting luncheon. You may be aware that happens. Took a break from that, and then I returned and recently served there as the corresponding secretary. As I think I've mentioned, I served 6 years on the Wenham Select Board, 2 as chair, including the Affordable Housing Trust. I did get paid for that stint. Kept me in Starbucks for that amount of time. I spent 3 years on the Wenham Finance Committee, 2 as chair, and 15 years, really exciting, rewarding time also on the Regional School Committee, 2 as chair. Gave me a lot of well-rounded perspective on how things work together. In all cases, my goal, how I tried to shape things but my goal is to provide a public service. I never think of myself as a politician, but as a public servant. I tried to foster communication, raise money in some cases, advocate for both kids and adults, but mostly to model inclusiveness, integrity, and the necessity to see things from many perspectives, which I think are critical to doing this job in particular. That's it. Thank you.
Thanks, Catherine. I'll pass it back to Natalie for question subset B.
Thanks, Joan. Okay, next question for the town clerk candidates. We'll start with Lisa this round. Lisa, what do you think, and I should say this question was given in our form on the Facebook group by resident Janet Burt. She says, what do you think the 3 most important jobs of town clerk are and why?
Not paying attention to that mute button, excuse me. Yes, so number 1 importance is the elections. And I would work diligently to continue the stellar reputation of running the competent elections. That I would follow, the guidelines that come down to the clerk's office. The outline is there to implement the elections. So I would be fast and furious to learn that and get that up and going. Secondly, I think it's support. We're there to support the boards, the committees, abide by the oath taken and given to individuals, follow open meeting law, ensure all boards and committees read and follow the conflict of interest. Something I have to do, something I've had to do for many years. I currently do have to participate in open meeting law rules where I work at the Ipswich assessing office, posting the meetings and the minutes. And then I also believe it's assisting the residents of Wenham by working for the residents of Wenham to the very best of my ability. Thank you.
Thanks, Lisa. Same question to you, Trudy. Do you need me to repeat?
No, I'm all set. Thank you. So first, as a town clerk, most of you may not be aware that I'm actually the CEO for the town, chief election official. Ensuring that elections are open, fair, and inclusive in a key role for the town clerk. There are multiple mass general laws and regulations that need to be followed while still ensuring that all eligible voters can cast their vote. As we saw last year, new rules and voting options became very confusing, and the town clerk had to ensure that they were implemented and the voters were provided with proper opportunities to vote. On a national scale, we saw how challenges can arise and misunderstandings can occur. So it is very vital that the clerk knows how to run a proper election. Over my years, I have directed 26 successful elections, and I know I can do the same in the future. Second, as the official record keeper for the town, it is the town clerk's job to be sure that all records are in order, factual, and easily accessible by the public. The clerk acts as the gatekeeper for all records, and such needs to work with all departments of the town that are required to maintain the records. In a similar fashion, the clerk's office is involved in complying with public records requests, as well as following the open meeting laws and overseeing the proper posting requirements and working with the various boards and committees to be compliant. Third would be customer service. It's always customer service in the town clerk's office. The office of the town clerk is the gateway to the public information, records preservation, vital records, election and voting services. I will promote public confidence and goodwill by providing the highest level of courteous, efficient service to ensure transparent governance and to uphold the highest degree of integrity. My mission has been and will be to continue as a reliable provider of service and information to the town, the residents, co-workers, boards, and committees. Thank you.
Thanks, Trudy. Okay, for the selectman candidates, Catherine, I'll ask you this question first. This is an unusual seat because it's just a one-year gap fill. Specifically, what made you run for this position as opposed to just to the full 3-year term that is coming up?
I get asked that question a lot. So it's a good one, thank you. So after retiring, I thought from 2 full terms on the Wenham Select Board, I wasn't expecting to run again. But recent events in the town, which I won't go into detail now, but they've persuaded me that I may be somewhat uniquely qualified to help Wenham navigate this next year. The experiences that I have in Wenham and in the town hall will allow me to pretty easily and quickly integrate back into the select board, which will be pretty important since we only have 1 sitting select board member and he's just finishing up his first term. We'll have a new select board member in May, an interim town administrator, a relatively new finance director, and a staff who's worked in a chaotic environment for the last year or so, and that's not even including COVID. I believe I can help bridge the gap fairly smoothly from today's difficult time to a time of stability, renewed transparency, and best practices a year from now. And I think it might take a full year. I also just I think I have a second or two to say that I've tried, since I decided to run for this gap year, I've made a pretty strong effort to stay up to date to ensure that smooth transition back. And to that end, I have tried to Zoom attend all FinCom meetings, select person Cheeseman's weekly information sessions, which have really been great and helpful, other Board of Health meetings, and most recently, the Government Study Committee meetings, a group of people that are studying a move from 3 to 5 select board members in town, which that's always interesting. So thank you.
Thanks, Catherine. James, same question. Do you need me to repeat that for you?
I'm all set, but thank you. My motivation in running for this unique one-term position is, of course, to continue to help my community through the trying times, through the end of this pandemic and to the next year. I've decided to run for the one-year term instead of the 3-year term, as to better gain experience on governing at the municipal level as well, to bring my vitality to a one-person selectman board at the moment who may be rather overworked, as well as to gain more information about what it's like, as well as to create opportunities for people to get involved past my one-year term. And I'd like to start conversations that I may bring from my youth perspective that will outlast.
All right, thanks everyone. We'll move to our next block of questions, and I'll start with Town Clerk again to ask about your communication skills, both digitally and in in-person spheres, and what you think people should expect from you when they interface with you. And this time I'll start with Trudy.
Thank you. Active communication is very important and is very high on the list for me. A town clerk must be able to communicate effectively and efficiently. I will rarely let a phone call go into voicemail, and I'm very prompt at responding to emails. I also believe that responding just to let a resident know that it may take some time to get them the proper answer is a good way to acknowledge their inquiry and set expectations. What residents can expect from me is that I will listen to their concern and assist when and where I can, or direct them to the proper person. If I don't know the answer to concern, they can rest assured that I will follow up with them and to make sure that they know the status. In order to accomplish this type of service, multiple tools and methods can be used to make sure the communications are reaching the intended parties. In-person contact, phones, cell phone, text messaging, internet, social media, emails, and the good old paper and pen are all necessary to reach the residents in today's environment and to ensure that you are being inclusive. The town clerk's office needs to look at all methods, old and new, and work with residents and other departments in town to be inclusive and to provide the best service in the community. Thank you.
Thank you. Lisa, same question. Make sure you get the mute there, Lisa.
I'm going to start with the digital world. I believe at this time, the town is best served with one digital presence. The current admins of the Town of Wenham Facebook page, Instagram, and Twitter accounts are doing a great job getting the information out to the public in a general forum. When it comes to the office, I too agree that it is very important to be able to let the resident know that either their question or whatever they're looking to, whatever records they're looking for will be either readily available to them, or if it takes time in research, then there will be a time frame in which things will be turned around. As such, public records. You have any kind of public record request, you have a 10-day turnaround. So that's sort of the guideline for an office, making sure that if there's anything historical or there's anything public record, there would be an end date. In the meantime, emails are diligently looked at every day. Phone calls are returned every day. Voice messages are returned every day. And beyond all of that, if there's a person at the desk in front of you, they get full attention. If the phone was to continue to ring, the phone would have to go to voicemail. We would make sure that the person that's at the desk would be attended to. In person, you can expect a bright smile, engaging conversation, and a knowledgeable town clerk. I will be the person you can trust to get the information that you need. Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa. We'll move on to the selectmen candidates for the next question. I'll start with James for this question. What do you intend to accomplish in this one-year seat?
In this one-year seat, the question I was most excited for. I really want to reevaluate how Wenham is communicating information, not just passively, but actively using the technologies available to us, as well as I hope to build positions, non-voting positions on a number of boards for students who are innately capable of communicating information online to better pair our current administrators and community volunteers with individuals with the skill sets to help them share the information that they feel that voters need to know. From my personal experience on the the school committee, I've attended every single meeting. Thinking back, if we had recorded a 5-minute video about what does a voter need to know after this one meeting, what will you continue to work on after this meeting that you feel the voter needs to know? Post that, for example, to the town Instagram or Facebook page, and you have active information going out to the voters that when they open up their Instagram, their Facebook, social media, they are engaging with the town and receiving more information. But thank you very much.
Catherine, same question.
Thank you. And James, that is really a wonderful goal to have. Community engagement, but active engagement, really key. I admire that. My goal is a little different, and it sounds pretty simple. It's first to bring the town back together, and of course that does involve communication in both directions, to foster stability and confidence in town leadership. And that may not sound dynamic, but I can assure you that it's a pretty dynamic opportunity. I look forward to the idea of, or the notion of mentoring new employees, but mostly new board members, new committee members, and as James said, encourage the culture of citizen engagement, not only to get information out to the citizens, but to hear back from them. All of this will ultimately allow the town to move forward smoothly and in alignment with the community needs and desires. Although the goal stated that way, I think sounds fairly simple, the tasks to achieve that goal are much more complex, and I'm happy to take a try on that, and I would be honored to do it, and will do the job to the best of my ability. So thank you for that.
Great, thank you. Next question is starting again with the town clerk candidates. And I think we're starting with Trudy this turn. Is that accurate?
I thought it was Lisa, but it doesn't matter.
Oh, is it Lisa first? Okay, sorry. So Lisa, what do you want to accomplish while working in this position?
Yes, I'm looking to enhance the town clerk role. I apologize. By bridging what I see as two departments, which mean essentially assisting the seniors and the veterans to understand and get access and apply for the very important real estate tax exemptions. What I think could be very helpful is the town clerk and, for instance, the assessing department, which I have many years of information available, to let the seniors and the veterans, whom I think are a very important portion of our residents, that need more assistance in the long, in-depth applications and understanding of their real estate exemptions. We, as we know, our tax rates are high, and if not now, more than ever, I personally would like to see everyone have access that qualifies under state statute to get an exemption. So I'm thinking bridging two departments, not having the seniors or the veterans or blind having to go upstairs to a second floor to go to the assessing department, where it can be very unfamiliar. Just let it be down at the town clerk's office, in addition to something else. It's not as involved once you understand it, but it isn't to the lay person. So that's something I'd like to do, bridge that. Thank you.
Thanks, Lisa. Trudy?
Thank you. Although this is a broad question, one area I would concentrate on is to continue to digitize the records in the town clerk's office. Many of these records are used on a regular basis by the town clerk, as well as residents and other town departments. Creating digital formats and utilizing online tools would ease access and reduce time required to locate the records. Another key area of focus would be to ensure that people have better access to information and better ways to conduct their business with the town. I would investigate additional options for the town clerk's page and possibly other areas of the town's website to see what can be added in the way of records access and online applications. The goal would be to make it easier for the residents to apply online, to file marriage intentions or business certificates, just to name a few. I would also ensure that I establish an environment of trust and confidentiality. Although many of the transactions and records in Town Hall are public information, there are times when a resident just needs to talk with someone regarding a town issue. I want to assure them that if they talk to me in confidentiality, it stays with me. Likewise, if there is a sensitive issue within town or town hall, I would not make it a topic of discussion amongst residents or other town employees. A key part of premium customer service is trust. Thank you.
Thanks, Trudy. It really is a big job. I mean, I'm hearing this. There's a lot in the town clerk position. It's true. Now on to the selectman candidates. I think we'll go Catherine, then James this round. This question was taken from our Facebook group by Kirsten Alexander, who asked, she said, Wenham hasn't had a new master plan since 1960. How would a new one help us? Catherine, let's go to you first.
Sure, great question. And my answer is a little long, so I hope I can get through it, because I thought it was important to start off by letting people have a little information on what a master plan is. It's great for us to talk about it. But I can do this. The Metropolitan Area Planning Commission in the state says a master plan is the strategic framework that guides the future physical and economic development of the town or city based on the community's vision and goals. Developing a master plan is more than just researching and writing a report. And it goes on to say it's an open, public process through which the people of the community decide future priorities to guide growth and development over the next decade. It's a process through which town residents and business owners and town boards and committees talk to each other, listen to each other, and bring their visions for the town into alignment to achieve a set of shared goals. So just aside from that whole idea of getting together with the community and talking excites me, I think there are many ways that Wenham could be helped by having an up-to-date an active master plan. A couple are, we would have a blueprint for growth based on our own citizens' vision. We'll be able to be more proactive and less reactive. That said, if a new growth opportunity arises, nothing would make me as a select board member happier than to be able to make a decision knowing what the community wants. And we would know this through the construct of a master plan. Boards, individuals, boards may change year after year, but this master plan remains a constant, at least for a decade. Secondly, the master planning process is a great opportunity to bring all residents together to express their views to each other, to other boards and committees. The results will be a plan that embodies the shared vision of a large and diverse, hopefully, group of residents. Change is inevitable. It's actually desirable in Wenham. But a master plan will make changes easier, smoother, and more successful. And if I have 2 more seconds, I will just put in a plug for the fact that the master plan, in order to be funded, must be approved at our annual town meeting. So I'm going to ask everyone to please vote to support the master plan at the annual town meeting on May 1st. Thank you.
Thank you, Catherine. James, same question.
I am a firm supporter of the master plan. I will be there voting in favor for it. Master plan allows Wenham to formulate a guide or how it wants to develop into the future. I think master plan offers a unique opportunity to, as Mrs. Harrison said earlier, come back together as a community. We have been rather divided. I think the nation as a whole has been rather divided due to the political turmoil, but that's a different story. I think this really allows us to focus on what makes Wenham unique, what we love about Wenham, and what I expect to happen is that when we begin to focus on the shared values that we have in our community, we're really going to discover that there is a lot more that brings us together and a lot more that we really love about our community than there is that divides us. I'd like to bring my efforts in reinvigorating engagement with the voters to facilitate the master plan creation. I do have some reservations on the budget requested for the master plan, but that is, of course, my own frugality. So I'd like to yield the rest of my time. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Joan.
All right, we're coming around the bend to the sort of last big set of questions. We'll start with town clerk again, and we'll start with Trudy this time. As the person whose job it is to keep accurate records about the citizens and events that happen in town, what will you do to eliminate mistakes in your work?
Thank you. I am an organized person with proactive planning as a mindset, and those traits combined with my skills I have learned over my municipal career will allow me to serve Wenham in the best way possible. For those of you that are familiar with Winnie the Pooh character books, you will understand why my kids call me Rabbit. Rabbit was extremely orderly and always making lists. My approach has been to be organized and to plan ahead, and to review often to ensure that details are covered in an effort to eliminate mistakes. When I am given a task where I may not be familiar with the details, I will research it and talk with my peers to make sure I fully understand before I act on it or release the information. For printed materials, there are also proofreading techniques that can be used to look for errors. As we've all learned, the electronic spell checks and autocorrects can sometimes also make mistakes. So proofreading is the solid practice to follow. Of course, no one is perfect. We all make mistakes. But if mistakes happen, I always proactively address the issue to correct my errors, and I record that error as a learning experience to avoid any similar mistakes in the future. Thank you.
Lisa, same question.
Yes. So I think importantly, the first step is to follow the statutes as outlined. So where you have a set of outlines that give you those bullet points, those are great checklists. Those are great places to read and reread and make sure you're cross-referencing. Ask questions from other departments. Ask the department heads for clarification on what it has to pertain to their department. Make sure you get their input. I do agree. There's a proofread. As noted, I'm going to make a mention that in our questions that came to us, number 5 says that what events that happen in the city. We're not a city, we're a town. So there's a proofreaded moment, that I feel it's just simple things. Read, be aware, digest, and if they are out there, just as Trudy was saying, if there is an issue, fix it, learn from it, put in place the guides not to do that again. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you,
Lisa, you passed the test. We put that in there just to test you.
All right, we will move on to our selectman candidates here. We'll start with James this time. Tell us how you see Wenham in 20 years. What do you think will be changed? What do you think will be the same? And how will your role enable this evolution?
Regarding what Wenham will look like in 20 years, as we embark to hopefully draft our first master plan, I'm going to leave that up to the master plan to decide what we will look like, as it is any prediction is a community effort. However, the one piece of feedback that I have heard throughout my experience working in Wenham and volunteering in Wenham is that we are a phenomenal community to come and raise your kids. That being said, I would love to work to provide more affordable housing. I believe the cheapest single family starter home in Wenham is currently almost $2 million. So if we would like to preserve our reputation as being a great place to come and raise your kids, I think the first place we should start is affordable housing. And in my 1-year term, I would be a great advocate for that. Thank you very much.
Catherine, same question.
Sure. As James said, it's still hard to even imagine what tomorrow is going to look like in these kind of days, but I have some thoughts about the future. My hope, I guess, for the future is that Wenham looks and feels like the residents who live here want it to. And that again speaks to the master planning. I hope and imagine that we will figure out how to have a little bit more stable financial situation so that folks can enjoy services and not be overburdened by taxes. I do expect that 20 years from now, and I kind of hope that there will be some changes in demographics, a balance between more young people and families, and keeping a strong senior community. We, I think, need cultural diversity, ethnic diversity will be very important to just round out our community and make it the best it can be. I expect, or I predict, I guess, continued excellence in our schools. I don't think the schools will physically look the same on the outside or the inside, but I think the excellence, we'll continue to see the excellence. I too, and interesting that James brought this up, believe that there needs to be more variety in housing in Wenham. Price, certainly one of them, but to accommodate the needs of a diverse group of people, culturally diverse, demographically diverse, and with workforce and other affordable options. Working in the Affordable Housing Trust in Wenham for 3 years gave me a much better picture, clearer picture, very interesting to see what our housing needs are. I believe Wenham will remain pastoral and rural even 20 years from now, but I predict that it will be more adept at balancing that pastoral and rural with the types of economic, I call it economic enhancement, that folks will accept. Okay, I have one more sentence. And my role here is in a 1-year term will be to help lay a steady foundation to move this evolution forward. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. I think now is the time where we're going to switch the screen. I'm going to pull Mark Liphart, the recording of my conversation with Mark Liphart up. So just give me a second.
We can't hear anything, Ms. Bowers.
Hang on, folks. I think Natalie is troubleshooting the sound issue.
About water conservation for us, and you know, with the Ipswich River, I think there's 12 or 13 towns that currently draw off the Ipswich River. How do we preserve it, right? So it's all around preserving it, you know, knock on wood, you know, limiting those summer, you know, those summer signs that say you can't water, right? So how do we preserve those resources? One of the exciting things we're working on right now is how do we implement technology, right? How do we let people know? So we're currently looking at water meters that would have an app, right? So if one of our biggest things, our biggest wasteful use of water is people don't know. They have a pipe, a running toilet, and when I say pipe, maybe it's outside leaking and you have no clue, right? Then you get your water bill, or your water bill seems high, and you were never warned about it. So one of the things we're currently working on this year is how do we bring technology in to let you know, hey, you know, it seems like you're using 1,000 more gallons this month. Oh, lo and behold, I have a running toilet, or somebody left something on, or what it may be. So just giving people the tools to help them manage it, and not every 3 months get a bill and open it up and kind of go, oh, I hope it's not too big. So
That
that's
sounds
one of the
good.
exciting things. Yeah.
That sounds efficient.
Yeah.
And can you tell us a little bit about who you are and where you're from and how long you've lived in Wenham, what you do professionally or hobby wise?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I moved here in 1998 on Edel Ave. My wife and I were looking to have children. We had children 18 months after we moved to Wenham, and we loved the North Shore. I was from Connecticut originally. My wife was from Northern New York. We went to college in New England and just loved this area. So we moved to Wenham and have never thought of leaving. We lived on Edel Ave for close to I think it was 18 years, 17 years. And now I currently live on Arbor Street. And we've just made a ton of great friends and just enjoy living here.
That's great. Wow. So what made you decide to run for this office seat, for this Board of Selectmen?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, I find myself in an interesting time in my life, in that I'm a business person, right? I'm in the software industry. I manage a team of people in the Northeast in Canada. And my youngest daughter is about to graduate this year, high school, right? So I understand that our school systems are our biggest assets in Wenham. And that's why I say when I'm a business person is I'm always looking for, what's the biggest asset value in the town? And in the town of Wenham, it's the school system. People move here for the school system. But then on the other hand, my daughter's graduating this year. She's going to college. My son's up in college in Rochester. He's a junior, graduated from Hamilton Wenham High. And, the taxes have steadily increased. So we need to fund the school systems, but we also need to take a look at our tax rates, and we need to do a better job there, right? There needs to be a balancing act, right? So I don't want to say I'm coming in and saying we can't spend any money on the school systems. Far from it. We need to continue to invest there. And I think we've lacked investment there, both from a facility standpoint, right? You go to other schools, you go to Ipswich, Manchester Essex, Linfield, look at their facilities, right? Kids want to go to school there. Ours are dated in age. We need to work with the state to fund that. But then on the other hand, we need to make it affordable for people to continue to live here, right? Because I'm going to have a choice in a year when my daughter graduates.
Right.
I could move to Beverly, right? And pay 30-40% less taxes. I don't want to move to Beverly, by the way, but it's really about being fiscally responsible, but making the right investments.
Right.
And quite frankly, I go to all the town meetings, right? I was at the last one in the tent at the park, and it's you have everyone voting for the override that have kids, and then all the seniors not voting for it, right? We need to come together on that. I'd like to see everyone vote for the override. And I know that's a little bit of a wishful thinking, but, I don't want us to turn into, groups voting for one thing and not taking care of our elderly. I think that's important.
Yeah, that is a big important part of our community. I agree. And it sounds like that's kind of what you're seeing as our town's most important issues. Now, I guess a lighter question, what's the best part for you about living in Wenham and having raised a family here?
I truly, what's interesting for me is the people, right? I mean, they're so passionate. I've lived in other places before this, and the commitment or the investment people are willing to make, or the pride that they have, just comes through to anybody that you talk to that's lived here for a year or lived here for 40 years, right? And can tell you a story about when there was horses running loose through town or something, right? So it's the pride that Wenham brings, and change can be good and it can be bad, right? So how do we manage that change, right? Wenham, I was reading something. I know the zoning board's putting together a plan, a 3 to 5 year plan. The last one, and I might not get the date, it was done like 20, 30 years ago. And it had projected Wenham would be at 6,000 residents. We're not at 6,000 residents, right? We've kind of flatlined there, which is good and bad, right? And so how do we manage that? We have a small group that is paying the taxes on that, right? How do we make it so we can have the best of the best facilities, the best town hall, the best police, the best fire, with a limited budget, right? Mm-hmm. So that's one of the big things I'm looking at.
Great. Well, thanks so much, Mark, for making this video with me. And that is Mark Liphart. Couldn't be with, I think he's literally like in the air right now, so he couldn't do it.
Oh, sorry, I had tiny little people running around in the background. I wanted to spare all of your eardrums from the sound. Can't promise it's not actually still going to happen in our last few minutes here. But just as a sort of a final round, there might be something we didn't ask you that you wanted us to, or something you wanted to comment on that you wanted to circle back around to. So just for everybody, every candidate, a free moment to respond to add, or anything before we close for 2 minutes each. So maybe we'll go in reverse order. We'll start with the selectmen candidates first this time. So Catherine.
Thank you. And thanks, before I forget, to the wonderful world of Wenham, to Natalie and to Joan for hosting this, and for everybody for attending. I do have a couple of closing comments, and I hope I can do them in the time allotted. I did want to address something that didn't come up in the forum. As a select board member, most recently, I was keenly aware of the difficulties that occurred last year, and my inability as a single member out of 3 to affect change. My frustration was a factor in my decision not to seek another term. And after my retirement, I remained determined to make positive changes, and was fortunate to start working with a group of like-minded community members. This group's been really important. It was able to assert public pressure to encourage the resignation of a select board member who had sent an inappropriate text to a town employee. But also, as part of this group, and a more permanent maybe statement, I was the primary author of a recall petition for the removal of an elected official and the election of a successor. And it was an important job for the group. And I hope, once again, that you will support that citizens petition at annual town meeting this year. I will just end with why vote for me. Although I respect and encourage and really appreciate all the new ideas and vitality, and which I always find to be important. Quite simply, and I guess factually or in a down to earth way, there's little opportunity this year for a learning curve in this 1 year position for select board. Normally, you have one person added to a 3-member team, and experienced folks have allow them a little, non-experienced folks are allowed a little time to learn the complexities and to move things forward and to get things right. But right now, with only one sitting selectman and the need to select a new town administrator, preside over town meeting, address several months of pent up decisions, I think experience is really important, and that's what I bring. So I ask everyone to please support my candidacy for select board member in the special election on April 8th, and it would be an honor to serve Wenham again at this time. Thank you so very much.
Thank you, Catherine. James, final thoughts.
Speaking on experience, the 2 issues that I feel have been brought up the most tonight have been reinvigorating how the town communicates effectively with the technologies at hand, as well as renegotiating the budget we have with the school committee as to better alleviate the burden on our tax base. As someone who can count on their hands how long ago it was that I sat in one of our classrooms at the high school, I have a unique perspective on what can and can be improved, as well as I've grown up on social media, so I have a very well-rounded understanding on how to better share information and which information needs to be shared most efficiently with our community. So I hope you all, I just want to say it has been an absolute pleasure to run this campaign, and I wish you all the best. Thank you so much.
Thank you, James. Same question posed to the town clerk candidates. Lisa, we'll start with you.
My sentiments exactly, James. It's been very exciting running a campaign. Just so many positive aspects of it. Tiring, nerve-wracking. Those are definitely adjectives as well. But I just want to leave with just a very simple quote from a high official in the assessing world. And it's very simple. It states what the town clerk, what any town government employee is. It's related to public service is a tremendous privilege. It is more than a job. It is a public trust invested in you by your fellow citizens, your fellow compatriots, and taxpayers. I believe I could earn your trust. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Lisa. Trudy?
Thank you. So I'd like to start off by thanking Natalie and Joan for hosting and organizing this forum. It's been a great opportunity to hear from others and get to know some people. I would also like to thank the candidates who have stepped up for the possibility to serve the community, as well as the residents who turned in tonight to listen. If you cannot make it to the polls on April 8th, there is still time to request a vote by mail ballot application from the town clerk's office. The deadline to return the application is 5 p.m. Friday, April 2nd. And in closing, I believe that my experience and skill sets make me the best candidate for the town clerk, and I look forward to returning home and once again serving the residents of Wenham. Thank you.
We did it before 8 o'clock. I mean, thanks everybody for sticking to the time limits and coming. It's been really wonderful to hear from everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good
everybody.
night.
Guys, thank you guys very much.
Good
Don't
luck,
forget to
everyone.
vote.
Don't forget to vote April 8th.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Have a good night.
Good night,
Good night.
everyone.